Yeah, we're recording now, so don't swear and don't put your finger on your nose.
Okay, cool. Okay, right. Hi, everybody. Shaun Harrington-Lunt, an ADI audit trainer. I've been in the industry for 29 years, but I've been out of the industry as well, been in and out, spent some time out of the industry, working on another career. So I had another career for a while, which was marketing and digital development and all good stuff like that. Worked on accounts in the marketing and digital world for companies such as like Everton Football Club, MTV. People are thinking, the young ones are thinking, what's MTV?
Yeah.
It's music streaming into from your television into your room. It's a bit different than top of the pops. Federation of Small Businesses, Tesco, Red Bull, big T1 companies really. Done that for a while, and I missed driving instructing, so came back into it again. Had to re-register, re-qualify, and I brought my skills with me, my 10-year worth of knowledge, brought it back in, and I just do a little bit of consulting for ADIs here and there. So that's where I am today, really, Bob.
Well, thanks for that, and again, thanks for taking the time to share this with us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye on the feed as it comes in. So while Shaun's going to do a short presentation, while he's doing that, I'll keep an eye on it, see if there's any questions that come in. But I think Shaun's planning on doing a Q&A at the end anyway. So
Okay.
If you type a question in that's not been, hasn't been brought up, then type it a second time, just in case I've missed it, because I'm getting old and slow these days. Okay, mate, I shall hand over to you. I'll leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Shaun Harrington-Lunt.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Okay, so I've got a presentation that I'm going to go through with you today. It's only 15 slides long. And then once we've gone through the presentation, I'm then going to go live into Google Ads. And I'm actually going to go and set up an ad for you and hopefully give you a demonstration, a bit of a walkthrough of how to go about setting up Google Ads and trying to get it to work for your business. So I'm just going to take ownership of the screen, Bob, while I get the presentation up. So as the title of this workshop or the Zoom is called, it's called Google Ads. So in essence, I'm just walking you through Google Ads and discussing what Google Ads is all about and how to use Google Ads from a lead generation perspective. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go into Google and how Google works with all of its Google algorithms and how to get to the top of Google with your website, etc. This is purely based on, going to be based on lead generation by using Google Ads. So the agenda that I'm going to be covering is, first of all, what is Google? Then what is PPC? PPC is like an auction, so I'll be giving a bit of a talk about that. Quick talk on the Google algorithms, quite an in-depth talk on keywords and how to do keyword research. Then I'm going to go inside the Google Ads dashboard and go show you how to start creating Google Ads. And then, if you're still with me at that stage, near the end, give yourselves a big pat on the back, because I kid you not, this presentation and talking about Google Ads is as boring as. Even I've got to throw a cup of water over myself every now and again to keep myself awake. Because Google Ads, talking about Google Ads is not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's quite a very useful tool for your business if you want to use it as a lead generation tool. And then at the end of the presentation, at the end of me going through setting up a Google ad for demonstration purposes, we'll enter some Q&A. So I'll answer any questions that anybody's got for me. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. Let's drive straight in. I can't get me driving. Struck the hat off, Bob. So let's dive straight in. So what is Google? We use Google every day, probably, don't we? The majority of us is going to be using Google nearly every day. Primarily, it's an online information library. That's all it is. It's an online information library. If we think back before the days of the internet, whenever we wanted some information, we would just go to our library in our local high street, perhaps. And when we get in the library, it's got rows, it's got a secretariat at the front desk, perhaps. And it's got rows and rows and rows of books, and all those books are fact and fiction. So that's what Google is. Primarily, it's a library, but it's an online information library. And it's going to deliver you information. When we type in to Google, I don't know, how to make a boiled egg, for example, it's going to bring you results. And those results will come on your screen lightning fast. Okay, so they're called SERPs, so they're called search engine results pages. Okay, so if I typed into Google, train to become a driving instructor, then it's going to bring you results back. It's going to bring you a mixture of ads and a mixture of organic search results as well. The way it does that, it's got hundreds of algorithms. So it's based on lots and lots of different algorithms. So it's based on lots of different factors. But the number one, the top spot factors are relevancy. So your ad, because this is about Google Ads, or even your website has got to be relevant, because Google loves relevant information. If your information is not relevant, then either A, your ad probably won't show, or B, from an organic point of view, your website might not probably show, because Google wants to do its best by its customers. Google's the #1 search engine, and it wants to be in that top spot forever. And it can only do that if it delivers a service to its users, if it delivers a service to you. If Google brought you back crap results or terrible results, pardon my French, terrible results all of the time, you probably wouldn't use it. You'd use something else as a search engine, like Bing, for example. So Google will align itself with all of its algorithms and bring you the most relevant content and serve you that in the hope that that's the content that you want, and therefore you're going to keep on coming back to Google. Google has other ways to deliver content to you as well, such as the second biggest search engine in the world is also YouTube. Google owns YouTube. So for those that have already spent some time on YouTube, you probably will be seeing ads on YouTube as well. So we can get ads on YouTube via the Google interface, okay, or via the Google dashboard within Google Ads. Okay, so those ads come to you on YouTube via either in what's called in banner ads or banner ads, or by video. If you're watching something on YouTube, you might get a quick 5-second commercial break coming in, and somebody's paid to give you an ad. Right? Or you might be on a website, you might be on somebody's blog, or you might be on the Daily Express website, or the Mirror, or the Times, and then you'll start seeing banner ads. So again, somebody's paid Google to deliver those ads to you. Okay. And as I've already mentioned, Google loves relevancy and it loves good content. Okay, so the more relevant your website is, or the more relevant your ad is, and the more content you have about it, the more factual based it is, then it's going to rank you higher, generally speaking. Okay. Now the future for Google is investing billions into artificial intelligence and AR, or augmented reality. And it's really putting millions and billions of pounds into a bit of R&D in this. And Facebook is also doing the same as well. So if you don't know what artificial intelligence is, or augmented reality, when you get some time, look it up. That's going to be the future, boys and girls. So because this presentation is all about Google Ads, I'll explain what Google Ads is basically. So, it's called PPC. Okay, so what is PPC? So PPC is pay per click. Okay, in its easiest form, it's an internet advertising model used to drive traffic to websites. Okay, so we only pay when somebody clicks on the ad, which is unlike other platforms such as Facebook. If you do a Facebook ad, you will pay regardless whether somebody clicks on that Facebook ad or not, because Facebook ads are generally based on impressions. So every time you're on Facebook and you'll see an ad pop up on your news feed, then that's an impression basically. And that advertiser is probably paying for that. Okay. So the good thing about, or the advantage about Google Ads, we're only going to pay if somebody clicks on our ad. Okay. The Google Ads, when you do a search in Google, they're generally displayed at the top and the bottom of the page. Not always, we don't always get them at the bottom, but they're generally 9 times out of 10, you will see the search results coming back from advertisers such as myself on Google Ads, and we'll be in the top 3 or top 4 if we've done it right. There'll be hundreds of people trying to advertise on Google, but if you're doing it right, then hopefully Google will give you your fair share and start displaying your ads on a regular basis. And these ads are triggered by keywords. So keywords, if I type in train to become a driving instructor, because I'm interested in becoming a driving instructor, so we'll type in train to become a driving instructor. So they're keywords. You know, I will have those keywords, that sentence, as a bunch of keywords in my Google ad, which I'll go on to show you later. But very quickly, here's an example. So we can see in the top, in the Google search bar, we've got train to become a driving instructor. So from the search results, I've pulled in 4 ads immediately. Any other people who aren't advertising will come below those search results. And Google will generally show a further 10 organic results. But primarily, Google will show either 3 or 4 Google ads as for consistency. Okay. So all 4, which we've got, the top one, we've got red driving skill. The second one, we've got smart driving. The third, we've got the AA. And fourth, we've got learn to instruct. So we can guarantee that all of these 4 listed on Google are paying for ads. Okay. But remember, we don't pay if nobody clicks. Okay. So what if you're paying for Google Ads, but you're not in that search results? You don't come up in those search results. Well, I'll come across little caveats and tips and tricks for you later on. But because it's Google likes to be a fair game, fair field, and it likes to treat everyone as equal. If everything was equal, then it's fair to say that the big players, the ones that I've just shown you on my screen, then they'll probably have deeper pockets and a bigger marketing spend budget. Yeah. So we pay for Google Ads, we've got to come into an auction, okay? So the misconception is that the higher you pay, the more Google will reward you. There's some truth to that, but there are certain caveats as well, because as I mentioned, what about the small little boys like me? How do I get above the AA and red, etc.? And it can be done. Hopefully, by the end of this presentation, you'll go away with some key takeaway points that will help you to get higher than these other big players without actually bidding as much as what these big players are actually bidding as well. So just to reiterate that, just because all things being equal, we've all got the same, more or less the same budget. Red are probably paying higher than smart driving. Smart driving are probably paying higher than the AA, and the AA are paying higher than learn to instruct. But that's with all things being equal. But as I'll explain shortly, we can get higher than that with our own particular driving skill, with certain tips and tricks and caveats. So this is the Google dashboard. So for those of you who've never been into Google Ads dashboard before, this is what you're faced with. You do need a Google account to access this. So if you've got something like a Gmail account, for example, then you probably have access to the Google Ads dashboard. So all you need to do is to type in Google Ads, and then you'll see the link come up in the search results. Click on it, you'll see a sign in button, and then go in and sign in. One of the first things you must do, if you are thinking about running or going to run Google Ads, you've got to go into the settings and billing, which is in the top right, and add in your debit card details. On the screen, I've got no campaign set up yet, but I'm going to walk through a campaign shortly. But We can track almost anything within Google Ads, especially if we're linked into Google Analytics as well. So we're using Google Ads obviously to get leads. Now, Google can get you leads, but whether you convert those leads into paying customers, it's entirely a different thing altogether. We can't blame Google for not doing that. If you don't convert your leads, that's your problem, okay? That's your salesmanship or marketing technique or skills or lack of, or your website poor design maybe perhaps, or hasn't got the relevant content on there. So we can set up conversions and goals within Google Ads. We can even measure things, especially as I mentioned, incorporating it with Google Analytics. So I can tell how many what people have typed in to click on my ad, what keywords they've typed in. I can also tell how long they've spent on my website, what pages have they been to, how long did they spend on each page. I can also tell how long or how far down that page they actually scrolled. So there's lots of other good stuff, you know, that we can start measuring with Google Ads and in conjunction with Google Analytics as well. So, but the primary objective for Google Ads is obviously to generate leads. Okay. So we can, as I mentioned, we can measure keywords, or these keywords that we're generating and populating inside Google Ads. Are they actually working or not? So we want to create an ad. Once we've created an ad, our ad wants to go off to our website. Okay. So one of the things about the Google Ads is that we do need a website. Okay. Now, unlike Facebook or Instagram, we're not actually doing what's called intrusion marketing. Intrusion marketing is you're sat at home, for example, you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, and you keep seeing all of these ads popping up. That's intrusion marketing. They've put it on your Facebook feed, whether you like it or not. So Google Ads doesn't work that way. The way Google Ads works is you physically do a search for it. So with the sales psychology, with all of that, thinking about all of the sales psychology there, we've already halfway got a customer that's ready to buy because they physically typed into Google, trained to become a driving instructor. Okay, so it's a different sales psychology when we're using Google Ads than what it is to Facebook. The user or potential customer is almost ready to buy. Okay, so we need a website or a landing page in order to be able to convert them, don't we? Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier on about relevancy. So Google does crawl your website, especially when you're doing Google Ads, because it wants to favor you. It wants to give you as much help as possible. So if your website looks like a dog's dinner, or there's no relevant information or content on your website that matches your ad, then you're going to get what's called a low relevancy score. A relevancy score is 1 to 10. So this is one of the caveats where we can beat the big players as well. So if you've got a dedicated page, such as a driving instructor training page, this is where I'm going to be sending potential customers or leads from my Google ad direct to my driving instructor page. My driving instructor page is going to be relevant. It's going to have lots of relevant content. It's going to be informative, and it's going to be factual. If when you create a Google ad, Google goes off and tests your website. It tests it for relevancy. It tests it for page load speed and lots of other things. Remember, it's got hundreds and hundreds of different algorithms. So in summary, if your website isn't up to scratch, that's going to affect your ads performing well. So Google's not going to send people off. Remember what Google wants? It wants good, relevant content. Google is not going to show your ad because it wants to drive people to an area, remember, like a library, where it's got all of the best sellers, all of the relevant content. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But I'm going to talk about that anyway. It's what we call a quality score. Okay, so this is where one of the caveats where we have advantage over the big plays, or we can align ourselves with the big plays at least. So a quality score is based on a score of 1 to 10. So this is the keywords that you put into Google Ads, the keywords that's on your website. Okay, so whatever keywords I use within my Google ad, I'm going to make sure those keywords are on my website for consistency and relevance. Okay, so Google will look for those keywords on your website. Okay? I can't have me ads saying one thing and me website saying another. Okay, the closer that matches, the more relevant we are to Google, the higher score. So 1 is poor and 10 is excellent. Okay, then obviously we've got a budget. So we could find out exactly what Red or the AA are paying for their Google ad per click, and we could match that or go higher than that, because Google will tell you, it'll give you a score, it'll tell you exactly where you should be placing your budget. But although I might match it or beat Red or AA with my budget, if I haven't got that relevancy score quite high, Google is not going to save my ad. So you've got a bit of homework to do. You know, if you're thinking about placing Google ads, you just can't go into Google ads and create an ad, put in some keywords and hey presto. Because I hear it a lot. You know, I've worked with loads and loads of people, and they've all come to me and say, Google ads doesn't work for me, Shaun. I wasted all my budget on Google ads. You know, I went through my marketing budget in an instant. It swallowed me whole up. You know, I've got no money left, sort of thing. And then I sit down and I go through, you know, strategy, and I start like analysing what the ads that we've created, and I start digging around and coming up with, you know, suggestions for them. And then I create a plan, and then, you know, start running ads for them. And, you know, a couple of days later, they're like, you're a magician, Shaun, you're a magician, you know. I'd be like, yeah, that'll be 10 grand, please. I'm only joking, not that expensive. Okay, so we've got the keywords, which we've got to take into consideration. We've got our budget, which we've got to take into consideration. And also we've got our relevance. And Google will add all of those things up together, and it comes up with its own formulas through its algorithms. And that's where it's going to, you know, it'll decide itself where it's going to position you within the Google ads. Okay. So in order to square all this away, as I said, you don't really want to be jumping inside Google ads at the beginning. Okay. My advice would be to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and start doing some planning. Start writing an ad. Start coming up with some keywords. Start being creative. Start looking back at your website. You know, start looking at other people on Google who are, you know, displaying Google ads, such as the Reds and the AAs and the BSM. You know, do some investigation work. Write down a headline or two. You know, come up with some body copy and some text and a bit of description. And one of the reasons why I would suggest you to do this is because once you actually get inside Google Ads, if you didn't do this planning in the first place, once you get inside Google Ads, it's a machine. It is a scary machine, and you're going to feel so overwhelmed, and you'll just end up typing any old thing, and you feel pressurized into creating an ad, and it'll be, again, probably half of it won't be relevant. You won't know what keywords to type in. You won't know what budget to set. So just spend some time before you go on Google Ads, just mocking up a couple of ads. Right, let's go on to one of the biggies. So the big thing really is all about keywords. If you're using the right keywords, people will come, your ads will show. Okay, if you're using the right keywords, your website will show organically as well. So what are keywords? Keywords are, in essence, words that people would type into Google. So if I want to train to become a driving instructor, I could type in driving instructor course costs. Bob could type in train to become a driving instructor. Mary could type in just simply driving instructor course. So these are all of the things that what we think the customer could type in. So these are what make up our keywords. Okay. So if I wanted to learn how to, you know, so for our learner drivers, if I want to learn how to drive in my local town, I would probably type in driving skills in Andover, and hopefully my website would have those keywords on there, and it'd come up quite high because it's relevant. So we've got to have good placement of keywords. And we've got to have quite, you know, I'll probably say 10 to 15. I wouldn't go overboard with keywords. And we want to have keywords for different ads, because we're not just going to create one ad, we're going to create 2 ads. That's my advice. 2 at a minimum, because we want to do some comparison. We want to see what ad is performing against the other ad and which ad is working best. So keywords do play a massive important role. Okay? If you've got the right keywords in place, it means that you're going to be in the right place and at the right time. Okay? So bear in mind what I've already said about relevancy. These keywords need to also be on your website as well to get a good relevancy score. A lot of people ask me how do I get keywords? How I've struggled coming up with keywords. Well, Google's got a tool for that. It's got a keyword planner tool. So we can go inside Google, and I'll show you how to do that shortly, and just type in what we think somebody would type to become a driving instructor. And then Google will give you a whole host of keywords. So hopefully we're going to pick out some of those keywords, some of the most relevant ones, and use them as our keywords in our ad and on our website as well. It's all about lead generation. So, and I've used these sorts of tactics to expand my business. So for example, I'm based in Hampshire. I'm smack bang. I live in a small town called Andover, but I'm smack bang in the middle of 4 other big towns and a couple of cities. So I've got Salisbury, which is a city. I've got Winchester, another city. I've got Basingstoke, which is a big town, and Newbury, which is another big town. So they live north, south, east, and west of me. So I ran Google Ads. I've run Google Ads. Sorry, just in case that somebody thought I said I rang Google Ads. I've run Google Ads. And in those places, Salisbury, Winchester, and Basingstoke. And I thought to myself, right, how many instructors do I need in Newbury? So Newbury was the only place that I hadn't broken out into or expanded into yet. And it's pointless me trying to rely upon my website alone to try and get me leads in Newbury, because Google knows I don't live in Newbury. It's not going to show my website in Newbury. So therefore, I've got to force the issue. And this is what I'm using Google Ads for. I thought to myself, right, at this moment in time, I would love 2 driving instructors in Newbury. So I'm going to place an ad in Newbury and Newbury only. And once I've got 2 driving instructors, I'm going to turn my ad off. Okay, so your ads are turned on and offable. Okay, so if I needed more in any of the towns around me, I'll just turn my ads back on again, and then let them do the work. They'll generate leads for me. Once I've got enough leads, and I convert some of those leads, I'll turn my ads back off. Right, now this will blow your mind. So this is where sometimes I've got to throw a cup of cold water over myself. Right? Now bear in mind that when I deliver Google Ads workshop, it's 8 hours long. It's broken into 2 4-hour workshops. So what I've tried to do, I've tried to give you the most useful information that I could condense into like 40 minutes or so. So I've took an 8-hour course and I've tried to condense it into 40 minutes. Okay, very impossible, but anyway, so this will blow your mind. You may need to watch this a couple of times to understand it. So as I mentioned earlier on, people come to me and say, Shaun, I've blown my budget in Google Ads. Google Ads is not working. I'm wasting my money. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that we've already mentioned about keywords. So we have variations of keywords, and we have special characters that we place inside our keywords. So working from my list, we've got what's called a broad match. Then we've got a modified broad match, then a phrase match, an exact match, and then a negative match. So let me just talk about each one in turn. Okay. But by the way, before I do, the broad match is where people are wasting the budget. This is where people just don't get any results from Google, because average Joe probably wouldn't know about modified and phrase and exact match and all of the little things that we place in front of keywords. So a broad match, so it is actually the default setting with Google. So if you just don't alter your keywords at all, they'll default to a broad match. We don't add any special characters to the keywords, which I'll explain about the special characters in a moment. So broad match essentially means Google will match your keywords with any search term that Google thinks is relevant for you. This sounds like a good idea, but in reality, it's not, because you'll end up getting lots of irrelevant traffic, and it's this traffic that's going to be clicking on your ad and going off to your site, and it's very unlikely that they'll convert because you've got the wrong type of traffic. But unfortunately, you're still going to have to pay for that traffic, pay for that click. So an example would be, I'll ask Google to bring me up some keywords. I'm going to use driving instructor training. Google will go off and pull back 250 keywords. So I'll put them into my ad, into my campaign. Then, without researching what Google's actually given me, it's going to have in there things such as like driving lesson videos, or because I've mentioned the word instructor and training, it's going to pull back to me things such as like yoga instructor training, work from home. It could pull back motorbike instructor training. So it's going to have a whole host of irrelevant keywords. Okay, so you've got to be really careful. And my advice is never let Google have full control of you. We've got to manipulate Google a little bit. Okay, the next one, modified broad match. So with this, we just place a plus symbol before each word, as in the example that you can see. So you can see my example. I've got plus driving, plus instructor, and plus training. Now, this is the method that I always use. I always use this, and a lot of the top marketing agencies will always use this as well. Okay. The plus sign basically tells Google that each word within the keyword or keywords must appear within the user's search term that they type into Google. Okay. So if my user or potential customer hasn't typed those words in, my ad won't show. So therefore, I'm saving my ad spend budget. Okay. And what the other advantage is, it now means that my quality of traffic is going to be so much better. I'm in so much more control of when users actually see my ad, and I'm not going to waste my ad spend budget, as in my early example of the broad match example. Okay, I know it's boggling and stuff like that, and it does take a long time, to get your head around all of this stuff. So I won't ramble on too much because it's quite confusing, but I'll just quickly mention phrase match. So phrase match is another way of controlling my keywords, or your keywords, and how and when to get your ad served to your customers. So with a phrase match, we just add a set of double curly quotes around the whole keyword or set of keywords. And this means basically that you want to show your ad, or you're telling Google that you want to show your ad when a user types in your keywords in the same order as it's written. So in that order. So for example, trying to become a driving instructor in Basingstoke. Now, I only want my ad to be shown when it's somebody types in those keywords. So it's sort of like controlling our ads and our ad spend budget. Otherwise, you're going to run out of your budget very quickly. So the other one, the exact match. So for exact match keywords, we just add a bracket, not the curly bracket. This is a full-blown bracket. Yeah. This is the tough bracket, this one. So as you can see in my example, driving instructor training in Basingstoke. So this means that your ad will be shown when the user types in the exact same keywords exactly as they're written within those brackets. But, so we've got to be careful. However, we've got to be careful because it isn't exactly an exact match, because Google wants to do good by you. So it's going to try to pull in other variants of those keywords. And it might not work, because Google doesn't really want you potentially missing out on any relevant traffic, but it might not be relevant. Okay, so that's why my main ones is going to be modified broad match and also an exact match. I have a combination of those. Lastly, we've got negative keywords. So in a nutshell, negative keywords stop your ads from showing, as in what I described earlier on with the broad match. So it stops my ad from showing, and therefore I'm not in danger of running through my ad spend budget very, very quickly. So I will tell Google when not to display my ads. So Google will do what you tell it to do to a certain degree, but we've got to tell it what we want it to do and what we don't want it to do. We just can't go by a whole of Google's default settings, because Google's default settings doesn't really match everybody or suit everybody. So for negative words, on this slide here, we can see on the very right-hand side in red, I've got all my negative keywords there. So when I go into Google keyword tool to do, ask Google to do some research for keywords and give me as many keywords as you can, Google will give you these sorts of keywords back as well. Okay. Now, by default, if I just say thanks Google, give Google a thumbs up and start running my ad, look at all of those negative keywords I've got in there. So, you know, there's loads in there that are not relevant to training to become a driving instructor. There's one near the bottom, red driving instructor training, BSM driving instructor training. Now, I don't want my ad to show up for them because that person's looking specifically for red or for BSM. You know, but we've got ADI driving instructor, which is like in the middle of the page on that column. ADI driving instructor. Now, I don't really want to show for that because are they just looking for driving lessons? The one below that, top driving instructors near me. Again, Google's given that to me as a suggested keyword, but I'm not going to run my ads with that because I don't want my ads showing with that, you know, because somebody might click on it. And I haven't got much of a budget, you know, times are hard, especially in these times. So, you know, I'm going to control when my ads show and when my ads don't show. Okay. And this is what I do. I get an Excel spreadsheet. I pull all my keywords out of Google Ads, and I'll create them in columns. So on the left-hand side, I've got all my positive keywords that I do want to use. And then, as I mentioned earlier on, I'm going to create 2 ads, and I'm going to play one ad off the other and see which one performs best. And then I'm going to run with the best performing ad and turn the other ad off. Again, I don't want to waste the ad spend budget either. Okay, guys, boys and girls, we are nearly done. So this is the last slide. So in this slide, I've done my planning. Remember I mentioned earlier on, it's all about your planning. Google will ask you to create, when you create a Google ad, Google will ask you to create ad groups, okay? So we'll create an ad group. Now, best practices is always create a couple of ad groups. So I've got all my keywords, but my keywords will have a mixture of keywords such as train to become a driving instructor course costs, you know, fast track driving courses, all this sort of stuff. So I want to laser in, use my ads. So I'm going to create one first ad. I'd give it a title, something like training. So I'm going to hone in on all of my keywords that Google has given me with the word training in, perhaps. Nothing to do with course costs or length of time or how long or the word how in there. It's all about training. So I've got my keywords. I'm going to create an ad. Now, Google Ad only lets you have so many characters. It does have a limit. So we've got the headlines. So driving instructor training, as we can see on the slide, it's got a maximum limit, of character limit of 30. So this is where you want to start writing down things before you jump in, you know, and then it offers you a choice of 3 headlines. Okay. There are what we call dynamic ads, which I'm not going to go into today. That's going to be on my workshop. Okay. So we can create 2 or 3 headlines. I'm only going to create 2 because I'm going to force Google to show me 2. If I create a 3rd one, Google will rotate my headlines, and I just wanted to show my two best headlines I've got really. Then we've got a description. So rows 9 and 10, it says train to become a driving instructor and get a new career, earn while you train. Again, I've only got 90 characters, so really got to be genius there with my body copy, with my writing skills there. And then it gives you an opportunity to write a second description as well. We've got to put in the URL after that. So that's going to be my website plus my landing page. I've got a landing page on my website called Driving Instructor Training, where all my relevancy takes place. And then I've got like a fancy URL, and I've put instructor in training. So it will look like drivinginstructortraining.co.uk, instructor/training, but that's not too relevant. Okay. But what I've done here as well, I've created a second ad. Okay. Now I've used exactly the same stuff, but the only thing that's changed is the headline. Okay, which is whoops. Oh. Bear with me, Bob. Let me just quickly run through that. The only thing that's changed is the headline. So I've got money back guarantee as my headline. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is making tweaks every now and again, because I don't want to change that. I don't want to create a brand new ad and change everything. Otherwise, I'm going to struggle to find out exactly why this ad was performing better or underperforming. So I'll make one tweak at a time and then see how that performs against my original ad. And then once I've gone through various tweaks and changes, edits, I'll then, do an analysis and then turn one or the other off. Okay, so that's the end of that. So thanks for sitting through that. I'm just going to quickly stop sharing at the moment, Bob.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that there hasn't been a massive amount of questions, and we've held the audience. So I think it's because it's interesting stuff. And I know a bit about Google, but I learned some stuff. So I think everybody else can kind of do the same. So the question that I would ask you is, clearly you know your stuff. So you run an 8-hour course. How can people get access to that?
Just email me. Just message me. Get in contact with me. Okay. I'm actually rebuilding it as we speak. So it's not quite the reason why I'm not going to. It's not. I haven't put it live yet. I've took it offline. I've rebuilt it because, as I explained to you earlier on, Google has changed all its algorithms and its interface and its stuff like that. So I now need to redo all my course content, my videos, to align itself with how Google is currently showing its dashboard and its interface.
So is the course online, or is it a physical course as well? Or
it's an online course, yeah. But there are some live Q&A sessions as well. So it's one of those typical courses where they'll subscribe onto the course, and then we'll hook up one-to-one.
Yeah. Well, I think David Allen said, "Thank you, Shaun. Nobody's ever explained how Google Ads actually works." I think that's true. We train to become driving instructors, and we're left to find our own way in the world, aren't we, really? And we fall prey to some less than scrupulous people.
Well, we do. We do. I get exactly what you guys get. I would get those emails, those text messages, those, coming up on my news feeds and in my inbox. We'll get it on the first page of Google. We'll do SEO for you, this, that, and the other. It used to, we'll get you backlinks, blah, blah, blah. You've got to be careful with those sorts of people because they're coming from all different sides of the country, and they don't care. They'll just take your money off you, And even some marketing people, as legit as what they want to come across, they'll attempt at getting you leads and do lead generation for you. But unless they keep up with the trends, because things keep on changing and evolving, so getting backlinks, which a lot of people think is the number one, what Google likes. Google's moving away from that. Google really doesn't care about backlinks anymore. It's nice to have relevant backlinks. That's what I would say. Get relevant backlinks, but not some backlinks that you're going to buy somebody from Bangladesh or lots, let's say, from different four corners of the world, because we don't know who these people are, from Turkey or Cyprus or whatever,
Couple of questions that, if you don't mind, I'll ask you, because otherwise they'll scroll past. Toby offered said, what the approximate cost for each click? I imagine that'll vary greatly, will it?
Shall I show you?
Yeah.
Do you want to go behind the scenes in Google Ads?
Yeah, we can do that. Well, just before you do, where are we? John Phillipson said, "Not sure if I missed it, but can you set a spend limit on your ad?" I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah.
So.
We can tell Google what our maximum budget limit is.
Yeah.
We can tell Google what we're prepared to pay per click and what our maximum budget is.
A Google based in Yorkshire. How much?
No, how much? Yeah. The West was based in Scotland.
So David's again asking, what other forms of business and marketing training do you do? I would probably suggest that they visit your website and have a little trawl through, rather than do the hard sell here. Yeah.
As I say, I'm not one of these people that's going to do a sell to you. I'm far too busy to take on any customers anyway. But at this moment in time, as I say, I'm redoing my whole workshops, and when I do, obviously you guys will be the first to know. Give you free access to a
Well, I
time limit
think
for it and stuff.
even just following the thing through and making notes as you go, there's tons of information there that an awful lot of people wouldn't have had in the first place. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna go online and have a peek behind the scenes. Do you wanna do that or?
Yeah, I'll do a very quick whistle stop tour. Okay, because I've got to be out by 5. So okay, I'll do. Let me just. I'll just take control of the screen again, Bob.
Oh, you don't.
Okay, so I'm just going to collapse this a moment. So I'm inside Google Ads. Okay, I've logged in inside Google Ads. Straight away, I am faced with a dashboard. Now, I won't have any campaigns. If this is your first time using Google Ads, you certainly won't have any campaigns created. So as mentioned, I've got to go up to settings at the top here and go into adding my debit card information. That's the first thing I've got to do. When you create your account anyway, Google will ask you this information anyway. You know, if you sign into Google Ads, it'll walk you through that setup process. So let's have a look at keywords. So I'll go on the top here. So I'll just go to Tools, and then there's loads of things here. So I've got conversions. So I can set up a conversion. A conversion would be because I'm using it for lead generation. It's hard to put a cost on a conversion because we might not even land that lead. So I can say to Google, set me up a conversion so I can do some conversion tracking. And a conversion would be my thank you page, for example. So if you go into my website, train to become a driving instructor, you know, and then I'll ask you, for your information so we can send you out a brochure. And when they've filled out the information, their contact details, you then go off to a thank you page. So that thank you page, I'll say to Google, when someone clicks on my ad and goes off to my website, my driving instructor training page, and if they fill out the contact form, you're going to get a response back. It'll be superdriveacademy.co.uk/thanks with a question mark. That means it's a conversion, Google. So Google say, okay, cool. I understand you, Shaun. I get what you mean, bro. Let's go. Let's see how many conversions we can get you. So we can do some conversion tracking. So lots of good stuff in here. I'm not going to go into any of this stuff really, apart from the stuff that I probably just mentioned in the slides. So let's go to the ones that you will be using or you do want to be using. So keyword planner. So people say to me, I do struggle for keywords. Okay, so and I just direct them off to here. So we've got two main boxes. We've got discover new words or get search volume and forecasts. Because this is my first time, I'm going to just discover, I'm going to ask Google to give me some keywords because Google knows. Google knows what people are typing in to train to become a driving instructor. So let's take it for the ride. So let me just type in some information. Train to become a driving instructor. Okay, let's type in another one. I'm going to try and put in about 3 words. Driving instructor. Can't spell today. Type in with me, son. Driving instructor training, and let's type in one more. Driving instructor course. Okay, so I'll leave it at 3. That's plentiful. Okay. Now I'm in the UK, so obviously that's where it's going to be pulling in all of the results. I'll just simply click on. By default, I'll click on. Let's get some results. Google's whirling around. It's doing its magic. So here, let's just go to the meat and bones of everything here. I'm just going to place ticks in these tick boxes here. So that one, and that one. They're the keywords I've just typed in. Yeah, they're the keywords. So here I've got keywords by relevance. Now I've got average monthly searches, competition, ad impression share, the bid, what the lowest bid is, what Google thinks is this is the lowest you can bid to get in those rankings, or the top bid. So this is what my competitors are currently paying at this moment in time, or what Google thinks it knows it's paying in order to get the top spot. So, let's have a look at the other keywords that's given me. So we've also got medium, medium, high, lows, and lows, and lows. So we can see here, if we dissect this, so I've got driving lessons. So you know what I mean by negative keywords? I don't want this in my search. It's brilliant. It's got 74,000 searches every month, so thus far, okay? And I only have to pay 15 pence or 60, or towards 60 pence to get a new pupil. Amazing.
A lot of work you don't want.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so I'm not running Google Ads for pupils at the moment, Bob. But I might want to do so if I get my new instructor in a town that I've just breaking out into. Like, I live nowhere near Manchester. If I get an instructor in Manchester, I might have to use Google Ads for pupils. You know what I mean? So, but you know, it's cheap, isn't it? Cheap. Driving lessons near me. So again, we can see this automatic driving lessons. So we can see there's a lot of keywords there that aren't really relevant. Okay. So let's click on bids. So let's have a look who's coming up top for bids. So here we've got red driving skill instructor training. Now there's, on average, remember it's only an average, there's 20 people per month Googling red driving skill instructor training, okay? Red is paying somewhere between £2.82 on a very good day, and on a very bad day, £11.2, okay? But we wouldn't buy that keyword. We wouldn't put a bid in for that because I'm not red. I don't want my customers coming to me thinking I'm red driving skill. Yeah. So, you know, we've got to go through our keywords and see which ones are going to be relevant and see what prices Google is placing it in the auction. So I want to become a driving instructor. Let's click on I want to become a driving instructor. So average monthly searches, 20. Competition is medium. Again, to get on the top, it's going to cost you somewhere between 3 and 7. So what I would do, I would come in halfway with that. I'd create an ad and put £5 a day on my ad spend budget, £5 a day, for example. And if I'm not coming up on those searches, I'd probably up it to £6. And if I'm coming second or third, great stuff. I could force to come first, and that would be obviously to go £7.90 instead of £7.88. But I might not be able to sustain that. I'd probably use it to convert or to get some to generate some leads, and then I'd run it for a couple of days. Once I've got some leads, I'd turn it off because I'm not, you know, I haven't got the big deep pockets that Red have got, or BSM, or you know, or the other, you know, big nationals. Yeah. So these are the sort of budgets that you're paying for this at this moment in time. There's also a very crucial thing, what's called share impression. Share impression is how much Google is placing you in first place. So how much share of the real estate am I actually getting? And one of the key things that you want to be measuring, because Google's got all these measurements, is your ad impression share. And we're going to try and get that at least 90%. So that means if you've got a ad impression share of over 90%, your ads will be showing 90% of the time. So that's another measurement to take into consideration. Okay. So, you know, let's just click on this. Let's just aggregate this. So average monthly searches. Again, I'm coming up with loads of driving lesson prices, sort of things, you know, which are hardly relevant, are they? You know, let's see if we can, you know, come up with a few more. So I'll just quickly scroll through. I'd have to go through page after page again. Let me just change a few things.
So there are ways to stop it being a black hole to throw money into.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you know, so you can see what the bid range is here. Top of page, the lower bid, and the bottom of page lower bid. Okay. So you know, these are all the keywords. So I would, once I've done my extraction of keywords, I would go into on the left here, keywords, and I would place all my keywords here. Okay, because I'll just extract them out of here because we can download the keywords. I would take them, pop them in my notepad or Excel spreadsheets, something like that. Add in my broad match, phrase match, exact match things, and then copy and paste them into there. And there we go. Okay. So, and next to keywords, we've got negative keywords. Again, I would click on the blue icon. I would, again, here, copy and paste all my negative keywords. Okay. So you do have to have a plan and strategy. If you haven't got a plan and strategy involved, then you're going to really run through your ad spend budget very, very quickly. Okay. So let me just go back into a campaign. One of the first things you've got to do is to create a campaign. So I've highlighted here campaign. I'm going to click on this little blue plus icon. I'm going to create a campaign. So let's again, I'm running out of time, Bob. I'm going to quickly create a very quick campaign. So what do I want? Sales, leads, website traffic. Well, I want to drive traffic to my website. Okay, I could go into leads. As I said, I've got conversions. I will tell Google what page is a conversion page. Okay, but for this one, for demonstration purposes only, I'm going to drive traffic to my website, which is my landing page, drive instructor training page. Okay, I'm going to go on search because that's where I'm at. I'm on Google search. That's where I'm going to be advertising my business. Okay. We'll populate that for the time being. So the goal is going to be website traffic. I'll give it a name. So I'll put Newbury because I'm not there yet, and I will give it a date, 23rd of the 3rd, 21. I always like to give things dates so I know when it was created and stuff like that. Search network or display network. Well, display network, I'm not going to advertise in display network because that's things such as like Google and stuff, YouTube and stuff like that. I'm just going to click on search network. Okay. All countries, no, I'm going to go United Kingdom. And then I can granulate this a little bit further. I can then go into Newbury because that's the location I'm going to be targeting. And I'll just drop a pin on Google Maps, almost like Google Maps, and draw a 10-mile radius around Newbury. That's going to be my target area. Okay. Language, by default, it's set to English, but I could choose any other language if I so wanted to do. I'm not going to create any audiences. I'm going to do a broad spread to start off with and keep it wide open. So my budget, enter the average budget you want to spend each day. Okay, so this is where you're going to control your budget and see how your budget's getting on. So I'll put £10 in. And then see, how that's going to go once Google has done its learning phase. By the way, Google Ads will go through a learning phase, and it can take a few days before it's complete. Because Google Ads got to go through and have all of this. It's got all of this learning technology. It's got to go and have a look to see what you want, and then it'll give you its best advice. It might say to you after a few days after its learning phase, Shaun, we recommend this, we recommend that, we recommend this. Some things, recommendations are good, but some things aren't. Okay. Set a target cost per action. So CPA, I've got conversions. I'm going to put on clicks for this demonstration. Okay. So I want clicks. Google's now going to maximize my ad for clicks. Okay. Site extensions, call out and call extensions. I'll just very quickly explain what they are. Sometimes when you go on Google and you do a search, I don't know, I could be searching Hugo Boss aftershave, for example, and a couple of websites will come up, but one website in particular on Google Ads will have more real estate. It'll look bigger, it'll have more lines, it'll probably even have 4 other little snippets below its ad as well. So it's took up so much real estate. That's what these are. They're called ad extensions. Okay. Right. So again, we're going to create any of them, and I'll save that. Okay. So I'll give it a name. Again, I'll call it Newbury. The date is the 26th. So I know where I'm at. Now, keywords. I could type in a website. I'm not going to. Okay, I'm going to put in my own keywords that I've already pulled from my Google's tools. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste that. It's one keyword or one keyword phrase per line. Okay, and then we can see here, as mentioned earlier on, down at the bottom, we've got broad match, phrase match, and exact match. Now, the modified match, which is the plus sign, it doesn't give you the option here, but it's a little caveat. I'm not going to call it a hack. It's not a hack, it's a little caveat. And it will perform better than your keyword phrase match and broad match. And then I'm going to save and continue. Okay, now it takes me on to my ad. So I've got my ad group. Okay, so my ad group is called Newbury, blah, blah, blah. And in my ad group, I'm going to create 2 ads. Okay, now I'm going to do something that I would probably recommend to start off with, which is to switch back to text ads. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to text ads. Yes, I do want to switch back to text ads. Okay, gives me a bit more control. Okay, so my final URL, so that's going to be my superdriveacademy.co.uk for / train to be a driving instructor. Okay, I know that's completely wrong. I'm just hashing it at the moment. Headline 1: train to become BEC. I'll go back and check my spelling in a minute. Driving instructor. Train to become a driving instructor. Okay, so we can see here I'm out of characters. 36. It only allows me 30. I've run out. Okay, so I can put. I can see what I mean by earlier on. Like, I'm under pressure now, so this is why I'll always have my plan before I come into Google Ads. Okay, otherwise I'm going to be spending hours in here, doing my copywriting and stuff like that. Become a driving instructor. I will put and while you looked at what I was doing, and while you train. But these are just examples. And on the right, we can see already how my ad is beginning to look. Okay, so I'm not going to do a headline 3. I could do a headline 3. Okay, let's go for something that really raises the eyebrows. Money back guarantee. I'm a salesman. I need leads. I've got a business to run. Let's sex all this up a little bit. It's a bit controversial between driving instructors, but we're not pleasing driving instructors, we're pleasing the public. So money back guarantee, let's leave that out there. Now Google might show, in the ad example on the right, we can see it's showing us 3 of those headlines. Now Google Ads might only show it 2, okay? So I can leave 3 in, but we've got to make sure that it makes sense. So become a driving instructor, and it's going to either show headline 2 or headline 3. So become a driving instructor, then it'll have a dash, what's called a pipe, and while you train. Now those 2 make sense. Become a driving instructor, money back guarantee. Now that also makes sense. So I want to try and make that sense, just in case Google only shows 2 out of the 3. Does that make sense? Okay, example path, I could put instructor training. Okay. Description, okay, I get 90 characters now. So, come with me, I'll get you earning zillions of dollars. Okay, and it's only dummy text, isn't it? One thing I'd be careful of here is we've got to make sure that we don't come across too salesy, and we don't like, Google doesn't like things such as like free deals and all that sort of stuff. You've got to be careful with your body copy here. Okay. Again, description number 2, blah, 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 blah. Just some dummy text. Okay. So, you'd be surprised you can get a fair bit of 90 characters in there. Okay. You can see on the right how it's looking. It's looking great, isn't it? That's going to convert, no problem. That's it, I'm done. So I can click on done, or save and continue. So I click on save and continue. Fix errors. Okay, so let me just quickly fix those errors. Okay, so what's that saying to me? It's character count, isn't it? I think. Okay, it's illegal. Okay, let's put hi. Oh. Right, done. Save and continue. Right. Okay, so final. So that's the final URL, isn't it? So sorry, guys. My website. Okay. Right. Save and continue. Okay. So I'm going to publish this. Okay. Okay. There's missing information. So I'll go back into it later. So, you know, we're now back at the dashboard. I'm going to unpublish this in a moment because obviously you don't want this to run live. Okay. Well, we can see at the moment, we've got what we call in front of us here, cards. These are called cards. Okay. So we've got, you know, the ad is under review. I better turn it off in a minute because Google will be like, Shaun, you want drugs? What sort of advert is that? I've got no impressions because it's not even live. So this will give us a glance at a glance feedback. But then you know, down here on the left, I've got lots of stuff that I can mess around with. You know, I can, you know, have a look. I can find out what people are typing in for my keywords for my ad. I can have a look at my negative keywords. I can go in and, as I said, if I didn't do them then, I'll do them now. I'll upload my keywords. So the point is not to get too het up when which order you go in. Google is quite flexible, and it will allow you to go around the houses a little bit in any direction you want. So, you know, so you can just create the main body copy for your ad. Not worry about keywords just yet. Once you've got that in there, we can then go into tools, go into keyword planner, and extract your positives and your negative keywords, and so on and so forth. I do apologise, Bob. I'm literally running out.
That's okay. That's fabulous. Thanks ever so much for taking the time to share all that with us. And I'm, you know, I'm absolutely and utterly convinced that if anybody needs help with it, then you're the man. So we'll let you get off and do what you need to do. Thanks for giving us your time this afternoon. As ever, always a pleasure. Never a chore.
Do you have? Thank you, as always. Do you have any immediate questions?
Well, there's nothing come up because I think people were just making notes as you've gone through. I wonder if we're going to get a load of questions perhaps afterwards.
Yeah, as I said, it's a very boring subject, but it is very technical. You know, it's, as I said, I've tried to cram 8 hours in an hour. So sorry.
That's fantastic. Thanks ever so much for taking the time to share. It's been fascinating. And we'll let you get on with the rest of your day, and I'll look forward to speaking to you sometime soon.
Yeah, 100%, Bob. Have a nice weekend, buddy.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
I'll just wind this down now. Thanks for watching, boys and girls. Absolutely amazing. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.